We got things to do.
Guys, welcome to the Pond Cast.
Just like the second or third time.
Look how
you
short
said
and
it.
cute they are, like Becca.
Yes.
Pondcast.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. We are still under construction, and I think we will forever. You know what? I'm not going to give construction workers and how there's always construction around, especially here in Dallas and everything. I'm going to stop giving them shit because we're always under construction here because of my crazy brain. Like last week, I got overwhelmed and like self-sabotaged myself. I was like, why can't the front room get done? Well, it's because every time I clean it up, I start a new project in it. Last week was mushrooms. This week is pawns and chess pieces. I was really considering making like all the chess pieces, but then it's not part of the hint, and that would take forever.
Are we gonna play chess in the gym?
I wanted to. That
Like
was
a
my
big chess
that was
board?
my original vision. Is I wanted to take the mats. I was like, is there a way I can paint these mats like a checkerboard, a chessboard? Excuse me. Is there a difference between those?
The boards?
Yeah.
I don't know.
A checkered pattern so we could play chess. But then I couldn't come up with a solid solution. And then I don't know how to play chess.
Matt and Becca. The knights can like jump over other pieces. Some you have to have the pieces moved out of the way. Like the bishops, like you can't jump with the bishops.
The bishops look like this.
What?
Do I have the right piece? Like it looks like a little mouth that's like it looks like a sardine. And that's the second time I've called something a sardine this week. The other thing I called a sardine was an actual human being. So this was the hint for the next open workout. And unfortunately, I think this is the first time we've ever figured out, or I think I've come across the riddle and solved the riddle that is Dave Castro's hint. And those represent short people. I am short,
Or small
unfortunately.
people.
Small people. And there is a weight. There's a weight from a shuffleboard that just went smashed that little pawn. And I was like, I feel like it hit me. When I watched the video, there was a part of me that went with that pawn. And I go, oh, that happened while I was cutting these out on Tuesday, whenever I was cutting them out. And I go, well, the first time I figure out a hint, not looking too good. But it's the open. How did 24-1 go for you guys? It was a party over here. Did you have fun?
Yes.
Any thoughts on 24-1? I thought the workout
Good
played
open
out.
workout.
Good open workout.
Yes.
Let me pull up our questions. We did it. Me personally, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Just the workout, it was kind of fun to get through. It was, you made it hurt as much as you wanted to make it hurt. I think, and we'll get into like a little bit of our guesses for the second workout, which will be announced very, very soon here in a second. But I think it was a very unique, well, not necessarily a unique workout, but it was cool to see how it was a sprint for full out sprint for a lot of the high-end athletes, pros, and then for a lot of other people, it was a straight-up pacing workout.
It's a burpee workout, so I talked to a lot of people that redid it here that did way better, just being so much more conservative and finding their pace as if they were going to do like a big set of burpees or do burpees for like an extended period of time. And just teach people that concept of knowing how to do every movement at different speeds, like a jogging speed, a sprinting speed, and when you're working in different movements, it's like trying to like develop your ability to, hey, am I good at sprinting these, or am I good at maintaining a consistent pace, and then working both sides of that. So you can, it's like a tool bag, like having that in your toolkit.
That's
like
the cool thing.
knowing how to pace them when you need to, knowing how to sprint them when you need to.
I love when I get
Because
to
that's one thing
talk
we
to
talked
people.
about with you is like being better at sprinting.
I love when we get to
burpees.
talk to people about the nitty gritty of like strategizing, and it's more talked about with like the more competitor type athletes in here, quarterfinalists and everything, because they're very fit people. And then it comes down to when you're going into competitions and workouts like this, how to do that specific workout based on what type of athlete you are. And then I start getting into like how to do, there's not just one way to do a movement. There's sprint burpees, there's paced burpees. Even with the snatches, there's a way to sprint them, there's a way to be more efficient with them. And there's not, that's the beauty of this sport, there's not one right way to do it. It depends on what type of athlete you are. And I thought that was probably the coolest part of 24-1 with all those dumbbell snatches and burpees, is you had to set up your own game plan for your capacity and stick to that plan.
Yes,
to finish it.
there is some great advice out there. There's tons of stuff that immediately comes out, right? There's like a million YouTube videos you can watch. But guys,
Right when it's announced.
It is generalized advice, and sometimes advice, like this is a good coaching thing too, is, or we talk about it as business owners too, is what you want and what your client wants, or what is good for you, what's a good pacing strategy for you, isn't necessarily good for everybody. Like just because it helps you, I feel like that can happen like in beginner coaches, like this is the way I did it, so it's the best, or people giving advice, oh, this is the way you have to do it because I did better that way. It's so varied. So that general information or stuff you can pick off of online is great, but getting with a coach or someone that knows you as an athlete and like helping you talk through it with you is going to help you be so much more successful. We had people that didn't finish the workout by a lot, and I was like, try breaking up the dumbbell snatches.
Yeah, which was
like,
never talked about.
No one considered
people
that.
Were like, stay moving, stay moving.
Well, it's just like, you don't think about it if that's a relatively light weight for you, but it's not about doing the dumbbell snatches fast. It's about giving yourself a pace that allows you to keep moving on the burpees. And if that's a bigger weakness from you, like you can make up way more time by keeping your burpees consistent because you choose to break up the dumbbell snatches. And anyways, person finished by over a minute after not getting close to finishing. So it's like knowing that general information of, hey, you should consider breaking up the dumbbell snatches isn't really out there. But
so
it just depends on where you are.
Lesson from this going into 24-2 and 24-3 and all of your competition qualifiers and everything is, I already lost my train of thought. You see?
No, but this
is, I already lost my train of thought. That's a real moment right there. But not like always jumping into what's the right answer to do this. And there's gonna be like 5 bazillion videos out by the time you do the workout probably. But you really have to get down to where am I at, what is my fitness level at, and how do I work from there? There's no one right answer, and that's what frustrates me. And people ask me sometimes, they're like, why don't you make tip videos for the open? I'm like, because there's already 5,000 out there. And they're not wrong, they're not right. They're everybody.
Generalized advice.
Yeah.
It can be, some of it's really good, but it's just like how you take that information and customize it or individualize it for yourself is really important. Another good example of this is, and sure, I totally understand this because it's competition, but it is kind of interesting to think like when you get to a competition like high-end Wadapalooza semifinals, you're like coming up with your strategy and you're like everyone's kind of like in their own corner coming up with the strategy, but really your strategy is going to be so individualized to you, like them knowing your strategy. I mean, sure, there's some little things that like you don't want to like, if you come up with a plan that's, people are probably coming up with similar stuff, but like you have to run your own race and your strategy is going to be different than another athlete who has different strengths and weaknesses and how they approach the workout, even though it's the exact same workout. So that's even on the highest level, or when you get to the competition, it's like how each person goes about, like, sure, there's little ways of maybe how you set up or how you plan ahead or make sure you have chalk or little strategy things like that you want to work through, that everyone's kind of like finding ways to like cut little seconds off. But really at the end of the day, how you execute the workout, someone knowing your strategy isn't necessarily going to be beneficial to them if they don't have the same strengths and weaknesses, and you have to execute it.
And you still have to execute it.
And a strategy, that you can't execute is just not
worth having.
it's not good. I think it's a patent quote. I think it's a general patent quote. A good plan executed today is better than the perfect plan executed tomorrow, or something along that line.
Okay.
Or like trying to find that perfect plan versus,
Yeah, and taking
I guess that
too
kind of
long.
goes with it, but like, what can you execute? You can't execute on the perfect plan because it's like, you know, it's harder to execute when you're trying to make it perfect.
Yeah.
So anyways,
I finished-
just some thoughtful things.
Yep.
Or some things to
Just-
help people.
I think, and I hear a lot of it just being competitive athlete and coach. I really want to, I almost get, it's really, as a coach, we have a lot of coaching questions to get to, which is awesome because we're doing a lot of coaching talk right now. It's so hard because as a coach, when someone asks you a direct question of what should I do in this workout, it's almost scary to like answer that because they want just like the right answer. And bottom line is your coach, especially if they're sitting there watching you every training session, like they know you as well as they can, but it's not gonna be the perfect answer that you want. That's why I love like.
Well, and it is scary because I get scared when I give you.
It almost
like,
makes you feel like you have to give them an exact answer.
But right, when I work with you and we're like at these big competition, it is like there is stress involved with, okay, giving you the advice that I think and how to approach the workout or what different things, but there is, you always as an athlete have to take ownership of, you know, knowing yourself, knowing your body, and this is why training every day with intention is important, is so
you know what
you
you're
know how
capable
to
of.
like, oh, I'm pushing a little too fast too soon. I got to adjust the plan, and being able to adjust the plan in the middle of a workout, when you can see things are starting to not play out like you expected them to, or maybe something's more difficult than you planned, or you know, being able to have that adjustment or adjust to a new implement or something like that is really important as an athlete to know yourself. And that's why every day intention with like going into a workout with an idea and a plan, then when it can all go terribly, but you learn something. If you just go into it with nothing and it can go good, bad, or whatever, and you don't learn anything. And so
Let me read
that's a
you
really
this,
important part thing.
this question that we got, and then we're gonna guess, share like our guesses for 24 too. This is, okay, let me start right here. Coaches, roles at competitions. What various types of coaches are there at competitions? Went to a competition with my coach and was disappointed with my coach, and I wonder if I had the wrong expectations for her role at a competition. That's rough to kind of think through, because I'm just thinking about, you're the only coach I've had in CrossFit, and competitions are stressful, but I know we're a team working there, and I think the biggest thing is for us, and I think why we work so well together, is I realize that we want to work so well as a team, but ultimately when I go out on the floor, it's my job to execute to the best of my ability. And even if that means switching up our game plans the way I know how to do in workouts, I'm never ever going to say, even though I joke about it on max lifts, that it's going to be your fault. We're going to work so hard and come up with different scenarios and be able to play them out as to the best of our ability. But in the end, like, all of my work that I do on the competition floor is on me. And I know every bit of advice and tips and strategies we've come up with as a team are out of good intention. And I think full on truth, there's good coaches, there's bad coaches out there. There's coaches with the right intentions, there's coaches with the wrong intentions. So that's kind of hard to hear. You weren't happy with your competition, but there's a lot of variables in that.
Yeah, I would say just like anything, right? There's good doctors, there's bad doctors. There's going to be some people that are better at coaching and less good at coaching. But I also feel like coaching is such a coach-athlete relationship. It's relational.
And it's so unique.
It's so unique. And so
everything's a little bit different.
I could be a terrible coach for what somebody else needs, maybe.
Right.
Maybe I wouldn't say terrible. But like,
don't say that's a hard word.
But not ideal or not the best coach for that person. Like,
I've
one thing
looked
that
at other coaches and been like, I don't know. I don't think I'd be able to work
Right.
with or be like butting heads with
So
someone
it's
different.
one, it's like it's finding who you vibe with and who you trust, and building that trust is ultimately all of what it is. I am much more of a, when I think about coaching at competitions, my role is to, one, come up with the strategy, the plan, all that, but bigger than that, or as important to me, is making things as stressless, like taking away as much stress as I can. So little things from preparing, different things for you to make sure that your food is ready, or this or that, or your timeline is ready, that we're getting to places on time, and like, so you don't have to worry about that. And just all of these little decision points I'm just trying to take away so you don't have to think about anything but go do the workout. So I would say that, and then just constantly trying to build confidence throughout the weekend, and that kind of mental side of how you're approaching things, helping you believe in yourself, reinforcing all the work we've done to give you confidence going into the event.
Yeah.
And then my nature, just by the way that I am, it's just who I am as a person, is like I'm a peacemaker. I'm a very calm, so I never get too high, I
Yes.
never get too low. So I'm just I feel like
Yes. I
I'm steadfast, and kind of like can bring you back from one side or the other.
This question has made me realize, and I don't know, I'm going to say it two different ways because I don't know which one is better. Because one of my pet peeves when we go to competitions, and you've been coaching competitive CrossFit, when did Cassidy start? 2013, before that?
2013 was the first time at the games.
At the games. So you've seen all these different coaches throughout CrossFit and everything. But one of my pet peeves, and I mean, I've been competing for almost 10 years. I mean, granted, when you're little, you're not paying attention to a whole lot of that. But one of my pet peeves when we're out at competitions is watching coaches try to teach new movement in the warm-up area. I'm like, this is not the time to teach new movement. And what's funny is I just realized you probably do the least amount of technical coaching at competitions. Your coaching at competitions is more like you said, making sure my mindset is right, making sure everything, I'm at the least amount of stresses on my shoulders as possible. So it's a different type of coaching. It's more like mentality versus like, I do not like seeing when people, and obviously if there's like a weird implement or a weird odd object that we're trying to figure out in the back, in the warm-up area, that's different. But trying to teach a new burpee technique in the warm-up area is not it, and it ends up throwing athletes off. And I see that so much in the back of warm-up areas, and makes me,
I think, yeah, there's obviously time, or there's implements that are new, like
to try
the
to
dip
figure
bars.
that out.
You want to see how
But
wide
I'm
they
talking
are.
about, you're not gonna change up a burpee technique,
Right.
like,
Or even some of that stuff, like being mindful of how many reps you do of that, or once it's, there's some of that's just like going with your gut on the fly of how much you practice it or not, like how much more benefit are you getting out of it. When do you feel comfortable with it, and when do we need to move on from it, as far as like, okay, I feel these dip bars, I don't have to like do an excessive
overdo it
amount
and everything.
of work on it, or
That was like at Wadapalooza, we were trying to figure
so there's
that
some
out.
things like that, and that's going to vary from person to person. Some people are mentally going to be better if they get their hands on it like 1,000 times. But yeah, that kind of goes too with just our style of coaching, because we like, for example, when you coach gymnastics or some technical gymnastics movement, we've done clinics before where people want this like super quick fling your like cue that helps you get the movement, instead of like, which is at the moment in competition, you're doing anything, you're YOLOing it, but instead of like, oh, we got to develop lat strength, we got to develop core, your midline or whatever it is, or coordination before we're even attempting those things. So I think it kind of goes along with that, is you just have to trust the work that you put in beforehand, and then obviously there's weird movements or things that change. But yeah, totally trying to change something that you've done a million reps of, to like get a little faster in a workout is probably not going to.
That's just the only thing. I don't
Make you
know if
better in the
there's
moment.
for every athlete and coach, like you said, you just treat it like a relationship. And at competitions, when you have the respect for each other and the trust in each other, that you know what you're doing. We're going to take all the skills we developed in training and in the gym out to the competition floor, and not, I really want to make sure if I'm with the right coach, they're not pretending to be like all something different than what I see in the gym. So it's a relationship, it's building trust. But there's like specific roles depends on what the athlete needs.
And it's just like different for each person. You know, like I don't know if that coach is coaching other people. Sometimes when that happens as a coach, it is challenging to like give everyone what they need, and that's part of it. And then some relationships are more collaborative, like I feel like ours are, and some are more directive of go do this, go do this, go do this, follow this exact plan, do it exactly like this. So, and some people need that, and I've worked with people not at like as high a level, but they. Not like you at the games or cast, but like other people just doing TFX or something that they need, especially their beginner athletes. It can be easier just to be like, do this, do this, do this. Keep it really simple until they grow as an athlete a little bit. So
true. That's an interesting question. I mean, and ours gets to a whole new level because then we have like our actual relationship, our husband-wife relationship, and the cool. I think the sweetest part about us is we work so well together as a team, but then there's this slight little like competitiveness, like who's going to have the better strategy or how it's going to play out, and there's a time and a place to pull that out, but in the end, like what motivates me
hey guys,
even more,
it's the Open. I told her she could do it however she wants. You want to experiment?
That's true. Did we even talk strategy? We didn't even talk much strategy before we did the first one.
I mean, the first one was go fast. I mean, there wasn't a lot. But we
did. But when we get into quarterfinals and all that stuff,
but
there's
still
gonna
we
be
learn
more,
something from it, right? Because then
but
there's something where I'm like,
rip.
oh, I want to like work on this part of your burpees.
This is the time to let it rip. Okay, being that we're back on the Open, 24-2 guesses. So we really do think that this hint back
rowing
here
and weightlifting
is representing, some type of favoring bigger athletes because last week kind of favored smaller athletes. So rowing is always a big one that you kind of go back to if you're a taller, bigger athlete. And then I would think there's some type of weightlifting in here, whether it be a ladder. I'm hoping they give us more than a couplet and there's like multiple things in the workout, maybe a triplet or maybe something that advances.
I think
like
a triplet and then maybe a lift at the end.
I was telling some people based on last week, being that some people made it a sprint and some people did a whole 15-minute workout, do you think they possibly throw an AMRAP at us so everybody works for the same amount of time?
They could, yeah.
That's when they pull out like AMRAPs are famous in the Open.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? Like a spicy little 12-minute AMRAP? Would you put, based on like the time domains of pros or sprints?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a longer AMRAP. Right. It just depends. If it's a 2-part lift, they're going to keep it a shorter 10 to 12-minute AMRAP and then a lift.
Well, last year they did 15 yeah. And a lift. That was a long one.
It's been a while since we've just had that pure 20-minute test. 20-minute AMRAP.
That scares me.
So I could see that, or possibly, I think the last week is going to be more of like thruster, chest to bar, that sort of, maybe like getting into like a thruster bar muscle up type thing.
That's
or
what
something,
I feel too.
Or some sort of squatting, whether it be lunging, chest to bar, or lunging and something like that.
I liked our step over guesses or step up guesses from this morning. Yeah. Because it's not so much hinging, it's a little bit of more like closer to lunging, squatting.
We hinged last week.
Yeah. So, and that could be something that could ding some shorter, smaller athletes.
Yeah, the step ups, and then also something that was just, that would get grippy. Like I said, the toe to bar, like a toe to bar, row, and then a step over or step up where you're having to hold the dumbbell in your hand. And then doing that, and then having to go into a lift that you're pulling from the ground. Yeah. With your grip a little fired up. Would be
do a complex or something, maybe.
Ooh, yeah, that would be tough.
Ooh, gets me nervous thinking about that. Okay, that's what we got for 24-1 and 24-2.
So we both agree rowing is for sure happening.
Unfortunately.
Rowing is for sure happening.
You know what? I have not had a lot of faith in our rowers, so I'm gonna have like a couple rowers next to me. They've been.
Maybe they do wall balls in this level because then the judging just doesn't matter as much because it's open.
Yeah.
And then they
I've
don't
been
have to worry
having
about
mixed
it. And
feelings about wall balls just as a standard, holding a standard thing. I don't know.
it's
I don't
tough.
know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? What do those guys mean? Does that look like we're definitely going with the middle one? My artistic ability failed me on the first one, and we're getting there. Okay. But we're only going to answer a couple more questions because we got things to do and announcements to watch, and I'm already getting nervous about it. Here's a question. Oh, let's do this one first. What goes in your I'm going to change that. What goes through your guys' head when you're trying not to die in the middle of an intense WOD? I am going to share, unless you want to go first, my answer to this question every single time, because people are always asking, like, what do you tell yourself? How do you get through the worst part of workouts? How do you not die? Okay. And this could be different than what other people tell you. I feel like some people create like these long stories of just like, I think about how much, like, I need like a spotlight on me right now. How much this is gonna make me better, and I think about my darkest times in life and how I'm gonna get through. No, mine is, I simply don't ever want to do it again. I do not want to have to redo this. I do not want to have to go through this pain again. So better be done to the best of my ability right now. And that's actually what I tell myself when you get to like that almost back half of the workout, when it gets like really, really sucky. You're like, faster I get this done, faster I get to the finish line. If I keep moving fast, I won't have any regrets on how I did this one, about slowing down or having to redo this one, or, you know. I just don't want to go through it again. I don't want to have to stop, quit, start over, and restart it again. That's my answer. What do you tell yourself when you're dying?
It just depends.
You go through
If it's
spotlight.
No.
No,
I was about to say.
Darkest times in my life.
I think it's no. I think too many people think that high level athletes, not that I'm a high level CrossFitter, but like never have or fight those demons in the moment.
Dude.
Like some days it's like.
It's every day.
Some days
multiple
it's like.
times a day.
Some days my self-talk is, you suck.
Yeah.
Why is this so hard for you?
True that.
That kind of like negative self-talk sometimes takes over, but I don't know. I think the two things, well, one thing I remind our folks at our gym a lot is just to learn to, embrace the suck is the term used a lot, but just like embrace that moment of when you get to that level of almost freaking out or it being like hard or that negative self-talk wants to take over, is embracing of the whole purpose, the whole reason you're here, the whole reason you do this stuff is to get to that moment, that kind of like that moment in time where you're really questioning or you're really hurting, and that's where you're going to grow and see progress, whether it be getting fitter or mentally tougher, is how you approach that. So if you just are prepared for that going in, then when it starts to happen, instead of like letting it take you down this spiraling panicky mode, you can kind of settle back and be like, I'm fine. I'm going to embrace it. And then I kind of say this to you sometimes.
You say lie to yourself.
Lie to yourself, but it's kind of true. Like, I think especially for a lot of beginners or a lot of people that are newer to some of the stuff, or even as you're trying to get better at going to that dark place, is realizing your body is telling you to shut down way before you actually need, like you're way stronger than you think. And you just have to like kind of settle into that a little bit and just say, I'm okay. My body's lying to me a little bit. I can be okay here.
Because
and
that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to be telling you, hey, you're dying.
Yeah, just
stop.
Calm my nerves a little bit. I'm okay. I'm breathing. And then the other one that I can go to, or that I preach sometimes to the folks here, is, when it hurts and you're breathing hard and your lungs are working hard, man, it's good to be alive. It's good to have lungs that work. It's good to have legs that work. There's thousands of people in a hospital just right nearby that would trade places with you in an instant. Even in that moment of suck, they would trade places with you in that instant. So having some gratitude for that.
You know what I got from this? get ready for this life encouragement through fitness and CrossFit is what we just talked about is like we put ourselves through these workouts, like you just said, to get to those in uncomfortable moments. And the most powerful thing about this stuff that we do in here, and I think that goes along with just fitness and why I love fitness so much, and it's not even necessarily just CrossFit, it's like fitness, it's uncomfortable. You choose to put yourself in that uncomfortable situation, so you learn how to pull yourself out of it and then see the stronger version of you. In life, you're not going to have, you're going to go through circumstances where you didn't choose to put yourself in a situation that's hard, that's ugly, but you're going to have that mental fortitude that you put yourself through in training to be able to pull yourself out of it and realize, okay, this sucks in the moment, but I'm just going to have to go through it, and I'm going to go through it to the best of my ability. I'm going to try to pull every positive out of it, but I'm going to have to go through it, and I'm going to be okay because of it. I mean...
Yeah. Well, and ultimately, that's where like all the satisfaction and reward lies in, is when
Right.
you make it through those moments and you're able to push through, or you're able to finish, you're able just to like go there
right?
and live it and live through it, then it's like, those are the moments like, that makes the workout valuable. That's why when everyone dies and ends up on their back, then we all sit around and talk about it for 20 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
Or Helmut,
And celebrate it.
Helmut was telling the story to some new members the other day about the running devil's press workout.
Oh, that's the greatest,
Where
one
I
of the
tricked
greatest
the whole
stories.
class, and everyone hated me in the moment, but it's still it's a story.
There was some
that's
therapy needed
that's
after
lived
that,
on
I think.
for years, and it's like a badge of honor
Yes.
for those folks.
It really is. And we talked about it last week, I think, or maybe a couple podcasts ago. It was very recent, about what your favorite part of training is, and it's that feeling. No one likes the ugly parts. No one likes the really hard parts, but it's the reward that comes out of it. And just remember that in life, I mean, there's going to be sticky situations. It's not going to be fun, but you'll get through it if you build that mental fortitude, and then
you don't tell stories about active recovery days.
No, you don't. No one talks about that.
Or
That's
it's not
true.
like a true, like, yes, I did
That's
my
true.
active recovery.
No one has
It's
stories
very
from
important.
zone 2.
It can be very important. It can be good for you. It can be beneficial in your overall plan, but it's not something to where you're usually proud of yourself.
That's funny. No one talks about active recovery. It's true. All right. These have been some great questions, but this one might start a fight. Favorite Oreo flavor? All the types of Oreos.
100% regular Oreo.
Yeah, that's the type of person you are, I guess. Just a regular Oreo person. No, mega stuffed.
People try.
You know what? Take apart the mega stuffed and then stack 3 mega stuffs
it's
on
not
there,
even an
and
Oreo.
then smash it together, and then mega.
It's just cream.
Stuffed cubed.
This is the person that will just take a whipped cream, can of whipped cream, and just spray it in their mouth.
Did that this morning.
No.
Honestly.
It's too sweet that way. You don't need, or you just
need.
This
guy. I knew exactly.
Dude, there's
No. I knew exactly what he was going to say. He goes, regular Oreos.
There are so many things in life that are like great, the original way that they're made, exactly as is, and people try to like do all this stuff, and then they just lose what they lose what an Oreo actually is.
They still sell original Oreos, but you can expand your horizons. Gerard was just telling me I should expand my horizons in my videos and do more videos outside the gym. And I was like, no! And then...
Oreo taste testing.
Have you tried the Oreo thins,
I've had
but
the
mint?
I like that.
Those are
I like anything mint, but...
But mega stuffed, all the way. I'm the creams for the
just regular Oreos and milk. Perfect snack. I don't need anything else.
Boring. Okay.
Maybe not perfect snack. I don't really eat that.
I still love you, but you have horrible taste in desserts. Because you're like a baked good. Well, I like baked goods, but you're a savory person. I'm the sugar all the way. By the way, this person said there's one right answer only. Double stuffed. I'm with you. We can be friends.
Boo.
Guess you're not going to be friends with Matt, though. He's going to be all alone in his regular Oreo world. Actually, two more questions because I'm going to answer this one really quick. Do you actually do your own stories or do you have a social media guru? I do almost everything on my Instagram, on my YouTube. You will know, shout out Gerard, you will know his work and his media because it's very professional, like all the vlog recaps, all the competition recaps, all the vlogs themselves that look like they're professionally shot. That's Gerard at Compete Media. Best media dude. I feel like the luckiest athlete to have that media dude by my side. Give Compete Media a follow. But yeah, I do all of my Instagram stories and everything. They're shot on my phone and they go up to Instagram. Glad you guys like them. Last question.
Me too. I do all my own social media.
Last question. Okay, all of that coaching talk. See if you have an answer to this one because I don't really know if I do. When is the right time to find a coach and the best way to find a coach? And they have in parentheses competitively. So when would you say if someone has a coach and recreate that like competition scenario where your athlete's not happy with it? Is that, I know it's like this is like there's 1,000 things that can happen in that circumstance of like who's in the right, who's in the wrong. But you would say like if you have, I would say if you have some, am I going to use the word right, like angst against, like with someone, or there's always tension there, it's probably not the right relationship. But you have to give it some time to like.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to try to work with a coach, you have to take into account some sort of, to make anything really build off of, like, it's going to take time to build trust. And that's ultimately what you want, is someone who's knowledgeable and you trust and you work well with. So anything that's going to take time. So you have to, if you do work with somebody, you need to give them that time, but then it's just communicate. What is your expectation? Making sure the person knows that, or the athlete knows your expectation, or like we said, there's lots of variables there. But what you expect out of each other as far as what a coach's role is versus what an athlete's role is. And then as an athlete, you have to take into account, like, if a lot of coaches aren't, I mean, maybe depending on what level you're at or you're starting at, like, are you paying the person? Are you, like, you have to be.
He's spitting now.
No, you just have to be a little bit mindful of, like, I have all of this expectations for this from this coach, but I'm not doing, like, there's no reciprocity there. And so that's kind of something that's important too, just to be fair to coaches, is a lot of them are doing it for free. Not for free, but it's just an extension of what they're already providing, whether they're class coaches or whatever. They're doing it because they love it and they're involved in it. And so getting really clear on what those expectations are important, because, I mean.
Yeah. It's just a relationship. That's all I can say when it comes to all this coaching stuff. It's just a relationship. I don't know. Like, you're going to find some that are good and bad. Maybe we take this, might take this question in a different direction, is what if someone's looking to get into more competitive CrossFit? You should go seek out a coach that likes to do that.
Yeah. They
have to be passionate about coaching competitive CrossFit too. You can't force that on a coach that's like a full-time affiliate owner and just focused on running a great small business too. So that's another kind of route you could take. I don't know exactly what this question was whether it's like the relationship, like trying to mend a relationship that's a little bit rough and trying to get better as coach and athlete team, or maybe you're just looking to be more competitive.
I mean, I would say, like, one, just try to find people that you either train with. Maybe it could be someone else that's in your gym, not even a coach necessarily that coaches classes. Doesn't mean that they couldn't be a good coach to help you out. Good thing about a training partner type coach or someone like that is, like, they know a lot about you as an athlete. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if you have a really good coach that you vibe well with at your affiliate, just reaching out to them, like, hey, I want to get more competitive. Would you be willing to, like, help me with some little things? Or if I ask you questions, would you be willing to, like, chat with me about how I could improve certain things? Or, those types of things. And then obviously there's like the big kind of world of mayhem athlete and proven and all of these things that you can get programming that's quality, and you might have some access to some coaches or some of kind of their media explaining how to do the workouts. But even if you're doing that, I would say having a training partner or someone there that's going to help
I can
you.
watch your reps.
That's
too,
going to help
watch your
you.
workouts.
Just that's going to be someone who can give you a little guidance within that framework. Is going to be super helpful. So.
Man, there's a lot that goes into this. I don't even realize it. Sometimes I'm just like, we're just coach and athlete and all that. This is why I like this stuff. It's cool. It's a lot of things that go into it. It's a lot of hard work. Not even just writing workouts, doing workouts. It's collaborating with our crazy brains and coming up with strategies, and that's what's fun.
Yeah,
when you find the right coach, it's fun.
For coaches too, that I just think I'm trying to lean more into and be mindful of. And we all love movement, and we all love kind of like doing the not the X's and O's, but all the dorky strategy and planning. And this rep takes 2 seconds, and these reps take 3 seconds, and this is about how much time, and like all that's important. But man, there's such a huge part of, I think sometimes CrossFit we miss out on building people's confidence and dealing with them psychologically and emotionally, and how much benefit that's going to provide too, not just to if they feel good, how much better they can train and how much more they can push or give when they're confident and they're feeling their best, and maybe something that we miss out on or can lean into. And it's one of I've gotten way more like this, and even with you, sometimes I can see it you get a little frustrated.
Yeah, because I want the answer, and it's more just
the book, the inner game of tennis, and just it's so easy to over explain or over talk or over cue. And sure, if I see something wrong, I want to fix it, but it's like how you approach that with each athlete is unique. And then also, how do I approach that in a way that I can get the most amount of change with the minimal amount of words or complexity, right? And then also by building you up. How do I build you up in that session of like,
to be able to think for yourself too.
No, I'm just saying, but like there's some things that's like
that's a conversation.
For example, like if we headbutt on something like working this like a snatch position or something like that, it's like, okay, this is what I want, but I understand if I'm asking you to do something new or something different, it's going to be frustrating for you because it's not going to feel right initially. So how do I go about like working in those little things by either you knowing it or not knowing it, but then reiterating why we're doing it, or having you feel confident even though when you're like, this is wonky or weird as hell. You know what I mean? And then, so it's coach. That's what makes coaching fun, is there's so many nuances to it and there's so many different parts to it. But
I said that a lot when I started personal training, because I'd write down exactly how I used to coach one person. I was like, bam, I got a game plan for the person that comes wanting a bar muscle up next. And then the next athlete you get, completely different. Nothing that you learned in the beginning is working. You have to take a completely different route, and it does make it fun though.
Yeah. And another thing too that's cool, once you develop a relationship as a coach, and especially if you're open and honest with your athletes, this is fun. This happened to me last week, is you can experiment a little bit and try things and just try to be off the wall or try a different cue, or hey, maybe this will work. I was working with a guy last weekend and I didn't think that, I don't know, it was just a method to try to get him crossover singles, and I was just like, you know what, let's try this thing. And it was a total like Hail Mary, but it like clicked, or it was the one thing for whatever reason that made his body feel what he's supposed to do, and boom, it was there. So that's probably something else that's cool, is once you develop that trust, and when you're trying to learn new skills or rework something, is like have some fun experimenting with it. Try different stuff.
There's no one right way to do it.
Forge your own path.
Everybody's a little bit different. And coaching is a crazy world. Being an athlete is always a fun, crazy world too. Combine the two together, you could blow up.
I feel like I rambled so much in this.
Could blow up. That's how, you see how passionate he is about coaching? One of the best coaches on planet Earth right there. Look at his face. Look at his face. I didn't even give Resin a shout out. Hold that up. Look at his face. Best coach on planet Earth. All right, well, we got to wrap this up. And we're getting close to the announcement. We're about to know what 24-2 is all about. Blitz, you got anything to say, buddy? You got paw prints all over my chess pieces on the ground.
His paws are white.
I know, I saw that. I was looking at it. He's got white paws. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and thanks for listening to our big coaching talk this time. We'll have more fun stuff for you guys next week. And we'll see you guys later. Peace out.